Okay, 2047 setup. Here we go. This is the 2047. It looks like this. This is it, right side up. Step one is to set this up on the mill. I'm going to set it up on a 3-axis mill like this. So when you're looking into the mill, it will look just like this. I've set all the clamps and stuff inside to show you. You can see 1, 2, 3, 4 edge clamps. You can see the plate in the center. That centers it up. So we bolt down the plate and dial in the center hole here for your X and Y 0. Then we will use the clamps to clamp it down onto the table. Once it's kind of centered and clamped down on the table, you put the spreader bar here, which is this thing. You put that into the center and tighten down the nut there, and that keeps it from vibrating when you're cutting this surface here. So as far as radial alignment, that goes right here, and let me show you. This is how you set up the first step in the 2047. You get this plate that says 2047 first setup. It's kind of circular. 1, 2, hold down bolts. It doesn't really need to be dialed in any way. Just roughly straighten it out so that these 2 slots here are facing you, facing out away from the machine. And make sure this center hole, you want to have a nut underneath it, because you need that for the spanner bolt. And you want to make sure that you're as visually centered over the center slot with that hole as you can be, because the machine barely has enough travel in the Y-axis to reach. So there, I put that on, and I've tightened up these 2 bolts. Now I'm going to dial this hole here for my XY center. Then I'm going to pick up the Z height just on top of the part and bump it down a little. We're going to try and hit this thickness here so that it's right to the print. That'll be our Z height. Okay, so dial center for X and Y, and Z, we want to try and get this thickness correct. Okay, to line up the 2047, we use this little piece of angle here. You can see there's kind of a lip right here. Just rest it on that lip and then rotate it up to meet this face. And you want to, if it's crooked, it's going to look like this. But when you straighten it out, right, this is hard with one hand, but so you want to make it so that gap is even right in here. And at the same time, you want to check 1, 2, kind of 3, 4 points here to see that they're somewhat evenly spaced. You can see I've got a big gap here and no gap down here, so let me move it over a little. So Now I'm looking and my gaps look pretty even. So now I can go ahead and tighten up all these clamps on the edges. 1, 2, 3, 4. And we're still lined up here. So now that that is tightened down, you need to tighten it down with a socket wrench. Tighten down those 4 nuts with the socket wrench. Now here comes the spanner for the inside. And it simply goes in here. It's got rubber fingers on it. This is to keep it from vibrating. So just kind of place it in there like so. I put some kind of clamp on top just to take up some space. Then you tighten that down some. You can't crank it down because the rubber keeps flexing, but that's okay. It just needs to be snug to keep it from vibrating. Okay. Then it's pretty much ready to run at that point.